Commissioner Madlanga directly challenged advocate Kemi Behari, telling him that his so-called HR process explanation is only surfacing now because he's under intense pressure and running out of answers. Madlanga questioned why Behari failed to advise on extending Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi's suspension and why this explanation didn't come up earlier. Was it an oversight, or was something deliberately left undone? The room went quiet as accountability took center stage. Stay with us, because this confrontation could reshape how responsibility is assigned at highest levels.
Would I be unfair? Would I be unfair if I suggest to you that you are suddenly mentioning HR because you are faced with difficulties? Because now you cannot tell us why you did not advise Colonel Erasmus on what you had come to him about, or rather, on what he had come to you about.
Chair, at the time Colonel Erasmus came to me, there was already a process for the extension pushed through to HR. He wanted me to give him some supporting comments and advice that I could support it to HR, to the HR HOD. That is where the extent is when I raise the issue. So for me to support anything without having the full details.
And your statement says nothing about any of that insofar as it relates to HR. It says nothing about that. You only mention it for the first time when we question your failure to advise him on what he, in your own words, had come to you about. That's when you mention HR for the first time. Yes, it gives you a way out. You try to get away from the difficulty facing you by suddenly mentioning HR. I suggest to you, Mr. Behari, that you are mentioning HR for the first time because you cannot answer the questions we are putting to you about your failure to advise Colonel Erasmus on what he had sought your advice.
Chair, I hear you, but I cannot support that. I respect that, the fact that Erasmus came to me on the way to HR for the approval of that. I then raised the issues which I said to, if I'm going to support an extension, these are the issues that need to be addressed. I did not have, at that stage, any information, and I believed it to be premature to me to even look at supporting a suspension. That was the process already going through. So yes, my statement doesn't deal with HR because I've dealt with what I was dealing with Erasmus. This has come through now in terms of when we engaged, there was a process for extension because the extension of the suspension would have had to be before the end of, sometime toward the end of May. So he came to me during the time or very close to that, with 1 or 2 days, I think, before that. So even if I'd asked for any further information and extended that, I understood it, but it was a process on its way to HR. So my apologies if I didn't, in my statement, deal with it, but that is the process there at HR. I was in the way to say, so please, can you support this? I raised issues on
what you raised as gaps, were these even gaps? Let's look at the first one, the one about an outstanding statement from Mr. Jeff Weeks. Mr. Jeff Weeks had raised issues that were or ought to have been within the knowledge of EMPD officials. Is that not correct?
Chair, with regard to Jeff Weeks, it came to the knowledge of EMPD officials, Rivers Peace, through Jeff Weeks.
Yeah.
Now, in my engagements, whatever issues we're dealing with, we have a primary, in terms of the value chain of the evidence, to say, who did you get the information from? So if Jeff Weeks was there, and Chief of Police wrote a letter to Jeff Weeks, so I asked him, did Jeff Weeks respond? Because there was a letter. So either Jeff Weeks said, no, I'm not coming to the process or whatever. It wasn't there. It wasn't obvious from that engagement. Then the next witness was Umzola.
No, before you move to someone else, I'm saying the issues raised by Mr. Jeff Weeks were issues that the EMPD could, within the EMPD, have been able to establish for itself. Is that correct or not?
It would not have been, the issue of the blue lights, they could have done that. The issue of the donations, they could have done it. That's correct.
Yes, yes.
But still, it must emanate from somewhere, Chair. The investigation comes from somewhere. It comes from Mr. Weeks. If there's any questions posed to EMPD...
all that it did was to bring into the public domain facts of which the EMPD people were either aware or could easily have become aware, and you've already accepted that.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why you would have insisted on a statement by Mr. Jeff Weeks. I don't understand that.
Chair, I did not insist and say he must get a statement from Jeff Weeks.
But that was one of your gaps.
Yes, the names were there to say, did you get a statement from Jeff Weeks? Because after the letter from Chief of Police Weeks, we had nothing further. So if you were saying to me that Weeks is not prepared to come, then that's a different story, Chair. But that seemed to be still an outstanding matter.